Good morning, ATD family. It is a beautiful Sunday morning. We are doing our division series wrap up. We were going to do this show yesterday, but we said, you know what? There is one more division game that's got to get played. So we decided to hold off so we could wrap the whole series up at one time for you and give you the preview of what is to come to be an extremely and incredibly exciting championship series starting tonight in LA. We're going to start this off as we always do. Baseball Bill, how are you doing on this beautiful Sunday morning?
I'm wearing my top fan and baseball shirt. I'm happy as a clam right now. I'm ready to go. We're gonna talk division. Oh, there you go. You got your bat, you got your dugout mug. I love it. And let me tell you, I am so excited because I have a question for you when we get over to the National League.
Oh
So
my,
I'm excited. Let's get
I,
started.
I can only imagine what your question is.
Mhm.
Only imagine what your question is. I'm not excited for it, but I can only imagine.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be awesome.
I bet. All right, let's get this started. Let's start with the Tigers and Guardians series. So, one of our two 5 game series sets from this division series. Tigers were this team that came in on a hot streak. They were doing incredible things going up against the Astros, just swept them 2-0. Looked like a team that was coming in on a hot like bed of fire. And then they hit Cleveland. And Cleveland said, nope, we're going to slow you down right out the gate. And then had some fun with them to finish up this series. Bill, what was it about this Tigers Guardian series that was just so exciting that made it fun to watch?
So you mentioned it. A lot of positives for the Tigers. One thing that stands out that I think was the series winner. I think the series winner was made on one play, and I'll explain it to you in a second. But if you're the Tigers, everybody, even at the trade deadline, you were sellers. Even on this show, we thought, well, the Tigers, okay, whatever. They turned it around. They made some excellent showing. And in the playoffs, they took out the Astros, who have been to the League Championship Series 7 times in a row. And they took Cleveland to 5 games. So they got 7 extra games of baseball, and they proved that they are a team to be reckoned with. They are going to get a ton of people looking over their shoulder and saying, hey, maybe I will sign with Detroit. Detroit's got something going on over there. Maybe I will sign with Detroit. So I liked this series. Now, this series, Sam, was made on one play. We've been talking about fundamental baseball since the beginning of time, you and I.
Mhm.
Remember game 4, the Guardians won 5-4. They were up 4-3 at the time,
Yep.
and they did a suicide squeeze. Daniel Fry did a suicide squeeze after hitting a home run, which worked, and the Guardians went up 5-3. What was the final score of game 4?
5-4.
There you go. You don't win that game, you don't win the series. So the Tigers tie up that if you don't get that down or you try to swing for the fences, let's say you grind into a double play, okay, final, Tigers tied up 4-4, and it's a whole new ball game. What happens if the Tigers win that game?
Yep.
Tigers win that game, the Guardian series season's over.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I think that's a really insightful comment and really insightful thought into the way the series played out. I want to take it from a different perspective. What
Oh,
was interesting about this series is that you had a rookie manager on the Guardian side. Stephen Vogt coming out, retiring last year, deciding he wanted to move into the coaching field, Cleveland giving him his shot. Do you think his type of the way he played the game helped transition into having a loose clubhouse going into this postseason?
um, that and very little expectation was put on the Guardians, right? You and I both said at the beginning of the season it was either going to be the Kansas City Royals or the Detroit Tigers that were going to win the division. Very little was put on Cleveland. so they could just play their game. And they showed, yes, the way that Stephen Voigt has managed, they've showed their success level.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I transitioned that into this is now going to be there's now a two-part question to come from this.
Okay.
So, first part question, and we're starting to see it more. So the second part of the question was where we're seeing it more. Now that Stephen Vogt has exceeded these expectations in year one, will there be more pressure put on this Guardians team going into his sophomore campaign as a coach, knowing the that free agency is around the corner and that team is going to look different coming into next year? It's not going to be the same looking team. So are they going to have the same expectations of Stephen Vogt going into year two in the Guardians organization? And the second part of this question is, we're seeing more players in the second parts of their career coming back into the game in either a managerial aspect, a front office aspect, bringing in Buster Posey that we talked about last week. Are we going to start seeing even more players making this transition earlier in the second part of their baseball career? Or are we still going to see them maybe take some additional time off before joining into clubhouses?
I think you're still going to see the additional time off. It just depends on families, right? And it depends on how much was taken out of you family wise. And so, guys jumping right back into either front office positions or managerial positions. By the way, hats off to Sam for always bringing in a giant reference. Buster Posey 2 weeks in a row. Pretty impressive. Don't think I didn't
You
see
like
what
how I swung that in, don't you? Like,
don't think I didn't pick up what you were putting down there.
I know.
But it all depends on their families. I mean, guys like Justin Turner, guys like Clayton Kershaw, guys like Stephen Vogt, guys like Buster Posey. I mean, it's up to their families. I mean, JT is from Southern California. So for him playing for so many years with the Dodgers, that was home. Clayton's from Texas. They live in Texas. Does he want to jump back into a dugout role after his career's over after next season? Probably not. I don't know. But next time they give me a call, I won't send them a voicemail and I'll ask them.
Don't send them. They need the advice.
There you
Uh,
go.
Ultimately, this is a great series. We can't say enough about how well the Tigers played this year. Can't say enough about how well the Guardians played this year. I mean, these were two teams. I mean, this was a division that had zero expectation, and have come out and I think shown the baseball world
Yep.
and said, you don't want to, give us any clout. Well, we'll show you why to give us some clout. So, congratulations,
100%.
Guardian. Congratulations to the Tigers. You had an incredible season. Look towards the future. My insight and my words of wisdom for you: just be excited about your future. You have a great clubhouse that you're starting to build and a great aura of momentum for the clubhouse. So keep it going. But Guardians, you're moving on to the championship series. Congratulations.
Moving on up.
Moving on up. We are now going to take it to the other American League championship, American League Division Series. This one only went 4 games, but still a fun one to watch. Sorry, jumping a little ahead of myself here. Royals Yankees only ended in 4 games, but man, oh man, look at the scores of these games. They were ridiculously close the entire time. Bill, what was it about this series that kept you engaged?
Each game was competitive. We'll say that. But here's what I think is interesting about this series really is it the Yankees seem like they always had the upper hand in the series. Now, granted, I mean the series was very, very tight. Don't even get me started on that. Don't even get me wrong on that. But the series was very, very tight. It's just The scoreboard that Sam has up there is a little off, but the series was very, very tight going all the way through.
All the
And,
scores may be off. You're not wrong. This was a tight, tight series.
oh, 100%. 100%. And there were key plays and key components throughout this series. Again, Bobby Wood Jr. showed that he's the real deal, right? Giancarlo Stanton is trying to prove to people that, hey, I still belong in baseball. Aaron Judge does Aaron Judge things. So the stars came out, and it was a very good series. The last game where the Yankees won it 3-1, it was a death match all the way through.
Oh
And
yeah.
so I liked this series. And this took me back to the 70s and 80s. 70s and 80s, the Yankees and Royals were like at each other's throats and
Yep.
during the postseason. And so this takes you back. George Brett got involved, says how much I hate the Yankees, things like that. It was a good time.
When you look at the landscape of these two teams, and well, let's not take the Yankees because the Yankees are moving on. But when you look at the landscape of the Royals, they've got a great core youth of guys right now, being led by Bobby Witt Jr., but they've still got some vets in there. Do you start to see the Royals moving the vets out and continuing with this younger trend being
Uh,
led by Bobby Witt, or do you still see a good mix going into this offseason and into next year?
yes, on both questions. Um, but I'm going to take you back to a question you asked a couple of minutes ago about expectations with the Guardians. And so now you see the Guardians, the Tigers, and the Royals were all in the playoffs in a division that we felt as though wasn't going to be exciting to watch. The expectations on the Royals, the expectations on the Guardians, expectations on the Tigers are going to be much higher next season. If you're the White Sox, you got to pay attention. If you're the Twins, you could end up in fourth place again, very, very easily. There's not a front runner in any one of these three teams. But what I would argue in this case is I would argue and say that all three teams are going to try to recruit amazing talent, right? And so, take for example, um, there's this guy out there. I can't remember where he plays because he opted out of his contract. This guy Blake Snell, something like I don't remember where he played last season, but I mean, or if he even did play half a season or whatever he did. But these three teams could be a fit for Blake. These three teams could go after Corbin
Meeting
Burns.
starting to light up very hot right now, FYI. This leave meeting button is just burning with attack.
Well,
Just burn.
ignore it. Put something over it. Um, uh, uh, Corbin Burns, Walker Bueller. Like there are players out there that I think these three teams need to go all in because they prove that they can play in October. This was a great series, though. This was
But
a great, great series.
so I agree with you that they do need to go all in. But if you also look at what these three teams specifically have done,
Mm-hmm.
get to the point that they're at is they didn't go out and drop big money on the big name free agents.
No.
So when you say they need to go all in, do they really need to go all in on some of these bigger name guys? Do they maybe just need
Yes.
one, or do those three teams maybe need one big name guy to help put them over the edge, or do you still see these teams needing multiple big name guys to put them over that
No.
edge?
In fact, let me clarify my statement. I said it a little bit better. Uh, each of these teams needs one more big time ready to go pitcher. Um,
Okay,
forget the Juan Sotos that are free agents. Forget the guys like Vladimir Guerrero. That
I was looking at this from
yeah,
the it kind of seemed like they just need to load out. They similar to like what the Giants plan on doing this offseason. They just need to back the dump truck up and say, "Tell me a price." You
now
know,
that button's lighting up for me.
yeah.
Where's it at?
But when I look at the Royals, when I look at the Tigers, when I look at the Guardians, I agree with you. They need to they need a piece, but it's not a. I wouldn't say it's a fielding piece. I would say it's a pitching piece. They're each missing one pitcher, and it may not be a starting pitcher. Maybe it's a long reliever that can come in and be that guy to help your young pitchers that might not just be ready to take on those 5 to 7 innings, just to help them get over that hump. You know, um, but yeah, I think in all the only team I think needs to get younger in one position, and it's nothing against how this guy plays, but it's just I think he's getting to that point. Is Salvi Perez in Kansas City? I love the energy he brings to the Royals as leading that team from a catcher standpoint. But the position is starting to get younger, and he is not. Look at Yadi Molina. Yadi Molina found his time to back out. I think the Royals, the longer they keep riding the Salvi Perez train behind the plate and letting some of these younger catchers that they have hold off on coming up, I think they're going to be doing themselves a disservice. That's just my opinion. But
Good opinion. I like it.
But Royals, be excited about where you guys ended up. Again, you came in, you
100%.
you were in a division that had zero expectation, and you blew every fan's mind out of the water. Um, the future is exceptionally bright for you in Kansas City, and I can't wait to see the Royals win next year over the Guardians and over the Tigers. But Yankees, you're moving on to the championship series. Congratulations.
Moving on.
Moving on up. Now, Bill, we're at the National League. You had something exciting you wanted to bring to my attention. Do you want
Oh,
to
no,
bring up
no. There's a slide that's going to come up, and I'm going to ask you a question when that slide comes up.
this slide or is it the next slide?
Oh, no, no. It's not this slide or the next slide. It's the slide after that.
Oh, okay,
Oh,
fair
yeah.
enough.
We're going to have some fun with this.
Looking at the division series, man, this one was heartbreaking for me personally because I have a wife now that is vehemently against baseball for the rest of this postseason. And then this series just I thought it was going to go 5 games, only went 4. The Mets proved why they are the hottest team in baseball right now. Without a shadow of a doubt, they came out on fire in game 1, maybe took a baby step back in game 2, and then said, we're going to take 3 steps forward to make up for the half a step back we took in game 2, and just came out and ran through Philly in New York.
Mm-hmm.
Bill, I mean, just what are your thoughts on this series?
So if I'm Philadelphia, I'm focused on 2 words and 2 words only. Missed opportunities. There are a number of times when Philly had runners on base with less than 2 outs and couldn't move them over or get them in. Game 4 is a perfect example. They are up 1-0 going into the 7th, I think it was, or the 8th, 7th, something like that. And Francisco Lindor hits that grand slam. Well, in an elimination game, you got to score more than 1 run.
Yep.
Uh, if you look at the numbers here, Philly scored 3 runs in 2 games. In 18 innings, they scored 3 runs, where the Mets scored 11. Just a bunch of missed opportunities. If I'm the Mets, I'm looking at this riding high. Their pitching pitched, with the exception of game 2, their pitching pitched very well.
Yes.
And it was a lot of good momentum shifts. Game 3 was a little scary. Edwin Diaz did not look very good coming out of the pen, but they were able to paper that down, and life was good. That being said, the Mets are still red hot.
And they're going to have a very very tough series coming up. And this is going to be a fun NLCS. I can tell you that. You got the West Coast, you got the East Coast, back and forth battle, flying left,
Yeah,
right, center. It's going to be a great matchup. When
yeah.
you're looking at the Phillies organization, and you look at what they've done, we're going to go back over the last 3 to 4 years.
Okay.
You bring in Bryce Harper, you sign up Kyle Schwarber, you go out and get Trey Turner, you bring up Bryson Stott, you go get Nick Castellanos, you re-sign Aaron Nola, and then you just look at the actual production of what they've done. World Series, National League Championship Series, and now losing in the division series. This team has had the potential over the last couple of years to make it to that next level and be that championship team we saw back in 2013, 2011.
When they won the championship,
Yeah, I want to say it was 2011.
it might have been, yeah.
But now you've had more or less the same core team for 4 years. Going into this offseason, do you see the Phillies changing this core group of players and revamping it going into next year to be a completely new group? Or do you see them saying, we're going to stick it out one more year and see if we can just pick up that one or two pieces that we might be missing?
Yeah, I don't see them. World Series champions, the last time they did that was 2008.
I thought they were in I thought they won in 2000.
No, they won it in 2008, I believe, against the Rays. And
They
then
made it. They made it to the championship series, I think, but then they lost. They
no,
lost to the Giants in 2012. I know that.
they
I
yeah,
thought
the
they won the
division.
World Series.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. So anyway, do I think that they're going to make some changes? It's hard. A lot of Phillies fans aren't high on Nick Castellanos.
mhm.
It's hard because I don't know what their farm system looks like. Uh, from some of the Philly fans that I talked to, their farm system looks really, really, really good. So maybe you start to get a little bit younger. JT Realmuto is getting a little older, but you have a good core of guys like Alec Bohm, JT Realmuto. You've got Bryce Harper, you've got Kyle Schwarber. Um, you just need to tone it up just a tad. Again, this is this is a very, very good team that just felt the bats just got quiet. And at the end of the day, when you've got when you score, what is it, 12 runs in 4 games, that's not bad in a postseason. That's an average of 3 runs a game. That's not a bad thing. But when you're giving up 23 runs, that's a bad thing. So the pitching just wasn't there.
Yeah. Um, you mentioned Alec Bohm. He's a free agent after this offseason.
I don't think
You
he's
know,
going to go very far, though. I think they'll back up the truck and make an offer.
maybe, but again, you made some good points. Nick Castellanos is an up and down player in Philly. He is, and I think throughout his entire career, he has proven he is truly an up and down player. When he is hot, he is red hot. But when he is cold, might as well put an iceberg next to him and he'll be colder than the iceberg. Alec Bohm getting up there in age. You got JT Realmuto who is getting up there in age. But still, from a defensive standpoint, JT Realmuto is one of the best defensive catchers in baseball still right now. Um, and then you have this young Mets group that is just really hitting its stride and
Yeah.
they put it together. After the rough start to the season, they just figured it out. Um, you know, do you see last question on this? Do you see these two teams or do you see the National League East maybe making a transition from it being the Braves and the Phillies to now becoming more of a three-headed monster?
Yes.
Mets
100%.
just kind of
100%.
becoming
100%.
that goofy cousin or that goofy brother in the three-headed monster?
Yeah. 100%. 100%. I do. The Braves are going to bounce back when they're healthy. They've got a good core of people. Philadelphia didn't make a lot of moves last off season, which I thought was going to hurt them in the long run. And they for the most part of the season, they had the best record in baseball. But then in late August, early September, they kind of slowed down a little bit. The 2024 world champion Los Angeles Dodgers overtook that record. And what are you shaking your head for? I didn't say anything funny.
I mean, it's funny to me. We're not even at the game. We're not even at the World Series yet, and you still
Hey,
got the hottest
I'm
team in baseball in front of you. So let's
I'm
just
trying to manifest it. I'm trying to manifest it.
let's
Yes, I'm
just
trying to.
let's just get you through beating the hottest team in baseball currently.
But to
And
answer your question, yes. Yes, I do.
okay, um, you know, to wrap this up, Phillies and Philly fans, you should be nothing short of proud of what your team did this year. The
Yes.
Phillies, as Bill mentioned, held the best record in baseball for, I would say, about 2/3 of the season. It was about 2/3 of the season, like the beginning third,
100%.
like the beginning half of that first third, and the second and the this is kind of the end. But there's some pieces you need. I don't think it's as much fielding as it is pitching. I think there are some pitching pieces that the Phillies can put in play that will definitely help them. But I want to see Philly getting younger. I want to see them bringing up more of their young guys from their farm system. They've done a really good job of building that up over the last couple of years. So I see them doing more of that going into this offseason. But still, congratulations on the season you had. Can't wait to see what you're going to do next year. But Mets, you're moving on to the championship series. Congratulations. Now, Bill,
Yes,
you're
sir.
free. The happiness for Bill is here. We can officially talk about it. This series was our second of two 5-game series in this division, in the division series matchups. And man, oh man, did it not disappoint. There was highs, there was lows, there were crotch bumps. There was cursing on live TV. There was almost a brawl in the middle of the field. I mean, it was a whole boatload of things. But ultimately, baseball Bills, Los Angeles Dodgers came out on top, winning the National League West, setting them up to go and face the red hot New York Mets in the championship series. Bill, there was a lot of conversation between us about the Padres being, again, another red hot team.
Mm, hmm.
The
Yeah.
Dodgers really needing to cool down that heat. What was it between game 3 and game 4 that you thought pushed the Dodgers to the point of saying, okay, we're going to douse them with the fire hose?
So you go back to game two. The Padres embarrassed the Dodgers in game two. The Dodger fans embarrassed themselves.
But yeah, they got
Yeah.
there. They got
Yeah.
thinking.
Yes. So the Dodgers got embarrassed in game two on their home soil. The Dodger fans embarrassed themselves by throwing stuff on the field, throwing stuff at players. The Padres were playing with their typical swag. Some think it's cocky, some people not, whatever. Game three is always the Dodgers always play a little flat in the first game when they go to another stadium. You saw this in 2022 when the Padres took the Dodgers on. They were a little flat. There was a one play that started it all, which was a base running thing by Manny Machado, which is totally legal. Kind of a punk move, but totally legal for Manny to do. And
was
what's that?
which was
The ground ball to first base, nobody out. Freddie fields it on the grass, and Freddie's on his knees because he had to kind of dive for it. Manny knows that Freddie's got a bad ankle and he can't get up. Manny's running in the base path on the dirt. He sees Freddie fine, looks at Freddie, then runs on the grass so that Freddie doesn't have a lane to throw. Freddie throws anyways. It hits Manny. It ricochets out into the outfield. Manny ends up on third. The rule says as long as you can slide and still touch the base, you can run wherever you want.
yeah.
and that's what Manny did.
And
Um,
it was one of those where it was kind of like, I'm gonna take the corner. I'm gonna he was already in the process of making the turn to second. Like he was like, I know I'm going to second, so I'm gonna run in the grass to make that wide turn type of thing. Which is what it sounds like threw off Freddie's throw and sent the ball hitting him into the outfield. Would that be right?
no, Manny was running in the baseline, turned around like this, what was happening, and then decided to run in Freddie's throwing lane.
I gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, smart baseball kind of a punk thing, but it caused 6 runs that inning. Walker Buehler just kind of lost his marbles. The very next play, a guy walks, and then the very next batter, I'm sorry, the guy stayed at first that had hit that ball. Very next batter was a ground ball to shortstop. Miguel Rojas does not feed Gavin Lux. Instead, he decides to take it himself. The runner beats it out. He's safe, and the runner at first was safe. So you had a run that scored, and now you had 2 guys on, and then that got a Walker's head. The
Gotcha.
Dodgers did come back with a grand slam by Teoscar Hernandez, but game 4 was when it pivoted. The Dodger bullpen came out in the 6th inning of game 3 and shut everything down. And then Dave Roberts didn't have a choice. He didn't have a starter. So he says, you know what? I'm going to go with the bullpen game. And that's exactly what he did. And the Dodgers scored early and they scored often. I was confident about game 4 just because I felt no way the Dodgers are going to go out like this. I just
Right.
thought, give me to LA and it'll be fine. Um, Kiki Hernandez hits a home run in the 2nd inning, I think it was, in game 5, which I talked to several Padre fans, and one actually last night said that that felt like that was 1,000,000 to nothing. Like they scored 1,000,000 runs there. And then after Teoscar Hernandez hit the home run, same thing.
Yes. I
But
mean,
great
series
series.
this series had its highs and lows. It had its back and forths.
Mhm.
Was there something that the Padres lacked in this series that may have held them back from, exceeding the expectations that they thought?
Yeah. So in game 3, the Dodgers scored 1 run in the 1st inning. The Padres scored that 6th spot in the 2nd inning. And then the Padres just kind of thought, hey, this is over. Or in the 3rd inning, hey, this is over. We got this. Teoscar hits a home run. It's 6-5, but the Padres are playing back on their laurels, thinking, hey, the Dodgers had a lot of missed opportunities there. But then the Padres kind of acted like, hey, we still got game 4 at home. It's fine. We're good. Well, game 4, the bats were silenced. Game 5, the bats were silenced. They
Yeah.
just, I think they took for granted that 6-1 lead, and really, trying to step on the throat of the Dodgers. If they win that game 12-1 or 12-5 because of Teoscar's home run, um, the Dodgers the next day are going to come out realizing that it's David versus Goliath and they're going to lose. But
Yeah.
you let them back in the game, and the Dodgers are moving on.
That's it. So, Padres, you had an incredible season. There is no question about it. You have shown the baseball world the type of swagger that San Diego has and is going to start bringing over the next couple of years. While you've got this great group of players that you're building off of between Tatis and Machado and Jake Cronenworth. Um, but you're still missing a couple of pieces. And I know you guys are going to find those pieces and put them together. But unfortunately, the postseason has ended for you, and it is now time to hang those cleats up and hit the links. Los Angeles Dodgers, keep those cleats on because you're moving on to the championship series. Congratulations. And as
There
we
you
talk
go.
about the championship series, Bill, we have made it through this. Are you
Yes.
going to mention what you had wanted to mention the entire time?
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Get to the next slide.
So as we're on the next slide, we are given our quick thoughts on what this championship series is going to look like. So Bill, the floor is yours.
Okay. So Yankees, I think, are going to move on. I think the Yankees are going to the World Series. I think that they have that team this year. They got the swagger. My question is You, Sam, and I'm not going to let you say nobody. You have to answer this question. Yeah, you have to answer this question.
How many times will we see the baby being rocked in the Yankees Cleveland series? I
Yeah,
think we have
exactly,
over
exactly. Watch what happens here.
put
Yeah,
an over under. I'm gonna bet the over under on baby cradling is gonna be 10.
there you go. I love it. I love it. So here's my question. You have to pick one, Sam. Either the hated Dodgers for you being a Giants fan, and or the Mets, who your wife just said, quote, baseball's stupid because she's a huge Phillies fan. So you've
This question.
you've got to pick
I
either your
want
wife's
to.
hatred of a team or your eternal hatred of the Dodgers. So who's gonna win this series, Sam? And you can't say nobody. Let's go. Let's hear it. Oh, I love this. This is so good.
My wife will understand my
Will
answer.
she? Will
That
she? Will she?
is, it would be the same if it was two of her teams in basketball, for example. Like if it was the Celtic, like if I like for some reason I was like a Celtics fan or like some like it would be a similar situation. I'm going to say I don't want to see the Dodgers win. As a Giants, lifelong Giants fan, Bill, I love you. You know this, but my dislike of the Dodgers will always exceed my dislike for the Mets.
So, in other words, you're saying I should send your wife a Dodger shirt or jersey for her to wear like FedEx tomorrow for this whole
Of course,
series because
welcome you, but you will get a video from me burning it in my backyard. No, honestly, these two series are going to be incredible to watch. There is no one in the baseball world right now that has seen the way these four teams have played, not only throughout the season, but throughout this postseason, and is saying that this is not going to be two incredible championship series.
Mhm.
However, I am seeing a Subway Series World Series in our future. I am seeing
Okay. I
Yankees versus the Mets in a repeat of I want to say it was an early 2000s World Series.
right
Right? Like there was a Subway Series World Series
in
in the early
2000. It
yeah.
was in 2000. Yeah.
I think we're going to bring it back and the reason why is because you're going to get stuck. The Dodgers, I think, will get stuck playing another bullpen game against the Mets. And I think the Mets hitting is just going to demolish that bullpen game. And I think that game is going to give you that similar feeling that you had mentioned about the Dodgers and the Padres in that series, where like if the Padres had won game three and they were down 2-1, it was their backs were against the wall. The Dodgers have all the pieces to do it, but I just think the Mets are riding this heat factor and they're not gonna let it cool down. It's nothing against the Dodgers, but I just think the Mets are too hot to cool off. You were able to do it to the Padres, but I just don't think the Mets right now are just playing on a different level. And Megan, I know you're listening to me and you're giving me all the praise in the world and thanking me from the rooftops, but
We'll
yeah,
see. We'll
that's my
see.
feeling. I know Bill
So,
is looking at a cross country matchup between the Yankees and the Dodgers.
yep.
Would that be accurate, Bill?
Yeah, yeah. So I'm looking. Did you know the last time do you know when the last time Cleveland won a World Series without looking it up?
74.
It was played October 6th through October 11th of 1948.
Wow.
The Cleveland Indians beat the Boston Braves.
Wow.
Yes. So it has been a while. They were in the World Series in
The Braves
2016.
aren't even in Atlanta yet.
No, no.
Ah,
Um, the the they beat the Boston Braves. What's interesting about the Guardians slash Indians is they were in the World Series in 2016, the year that the Cubs won it, and Cubs hadn't won it forever. This is the best case scenario for the MLB because you have a team in the Guardians have not um, that have not been there. And then you got the Yankees, you've got the Dodgers, you've got the Mets. So awesome. Let's do it.
So we are excited to bring you our recap of the championship series next week. So make sure you are checking in for this. But Bill, you have put together a postseason bonanza when it
Postseason
comes to
bonanza.
the podcast schedule this week. So give me a postseason wrap up.
Yeah. So Rachel talks through the postseason. She's a Braves fan. Braves had a lot of love this year because they were just awesome with this many injuries. Jen is a huge Mets fan. She goes to the games in Queens all the time. Jason will be back on. He's a returning guest as a Yankee fan. Brian, who is a Phillies fan, will be back on. He's going to recap the Phillies postseason and their regular season. And then, of course, you have Canicorn, which is going to be talking all about postseason things.
And then what about in the leagues this week? Kind of
In the
getting a recap
leagues, in the
last week.
leagues, we have a Would You Rather with Jackson. We've got Megan. We've got a TBD guest for tomorrow. It's going to be awesome. Thursday on X is it's Sports Talk. It's fan involved at 7 p.m. You don't want to miss that. It's all things. Last week around 2 hours, Sam. It was great. It was great and crazy all at the same time. On X on Tuesdays, we have go check out the Top Fan Rivalry Touchdown Tuesday. So that's good stuff.
Touchdown!
Touchdown. So
And then next week, I believe it is, you have a special guest joining for the locker room access members only event. Is that next week or the following week?
no, it's the following week. It's the following week. Yes. And you'll so next week we'll have on this show, we'll have some information about him. Fantastic guy. He's got great baseball history. He worked in baseball, his kids work in baseball. He wrote a book about Tommy Lasorda. It's all awesome things.
Love it. And as always, we love you joining us here on ATD, but if you are not already doing it, you have to make sure you're checking out TopFanRivalry.com. Make sure you use the code ATD in all capital letters to get yourself 10% off your membership, bringing it from $25 down to $22.50. It is
Bringing it from 36 down
Oh, 30
to 32.
an increase because we've had so much great traction. We are doing so much more with Top Fan Rivalry. The price may have increased, but the savings are still the same. 10% gets it off your membership. And believe me, you want to join this because not only do you get exclusive invites to the member events only, you get discounts on Top Fan Rivalry Fan Fest. We're going to start talking about that more in the next couple of weeks. So you
Yes.
want to make sure you're checking this out.
And one other thing, if you've been on the website lately, you've seen a change. There is an incredible thing that we're doing. We're going to be funding an expansion. We're looking to expand in this next baseball season. So if you like what we're doing and you're not a locker room access member, you haven't joined our membership, exclusive membership, or if you have and you're just thinking, hey, I'm not a t-shirt person, I don't want to do anything, you can go on the website and you can click on to buy us a hot dog and just contribute. You can contribute $3, $6, $9, whatever you want to do, but you can contribute. We call it buy us a hot dog. And so that is funding our expansion program. So we're looking forward to that. Sam?
Make sure you are joining us. Help us expand to bring you, the fan base, even more amazing content. Like I always say, make sure you check it out, TopFanRivalry.com for new articles, podcasts, merch, t-shirt club, exclusive fan events, and upcoming info on FanFest. It's going to be there. We're going to be there. I'm going to be there. Bill's going to be there. We're all going to be there. Make sure you are checking it out. Bill, any final words for the fans out there?
Go fight, win.
Go fight, win, as we wrap this up, as we always do, on a beautiful Sunday morning. Thank you so much for joining us. We will see you on the field next week for the championship series wrap-up.
Yes, sir.